Actually, before we start, I want to put you on the spot right away. Like, we're starting off strong, okay? So, you were brought in by Jagex to playtest Desert Treasure 2 a few months ago, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And I know you're under NDA, so it's all very hush-hush, but I would love to know if there was some mechanic that you guys tested like months ago that didn't make it into the final cut.
Yeah, well, the thing is with the DT2 one, I couldn't go to, there was 2 playtests. I couldn't go to the first one, but I could go to the second one. So actually, the ones that I playtested were pretty similar
Okay,
to how they came out.
I see. Okay, I was just wondering because like we've all had time to play the newest update for like a month now, and it seems like overall the bosses seem very well received. So I was just wondering if there was like a universe where some of the bosses were built differently, or there was some like cool mechanic that nobody's can ever see.
I could still talk about that and how they were like reacting, because the other people obviously went to the first one. They like Vardorvis was like, apparently terrible.
Oh, was it?
Beforehand, yeah, and everyone hated it, and then everyone was loving it after the playtest. But yeah, we can talk about the playtest if everyone wants.
Okay. And I was just wondering if there was like, because like, well, if you said there was 2 playtesting, right? That means like it probably took a lot of back and forth to get it right. And I remember you were playtesting raids as well, right? And when you were doing that, it was almost not even finished, like it was so half done, and I was wondering if it was the same for Desert Treasure 2.
Yeah, no, DT2 was, well, it was more polished just because I went to the second one. That's the thing, isn't it?
Okay, I see. Okay, let's dive into why we actually came here today in the first place. I want to start with the announcement and what were your thoughts going in, because as we all know, we have anticipated this moment for I don't even know how long, like 18 months now, since the end of Leagues 3. And I guess for the viewers, if you still don't know, Leagues 4 was just announced and it will come to Old School RuneScape this year. And I guess it's like safe to say that majority of the players are very excited about this. So I want to know what your thoughts were before it was announced, and how excited are you that this is finally happening?
I was super excited because it's been 2 years. I mean, by the time it comes out winter, right, it's going to have been 2 years since the league. And they were always saying, oh, we'll try and do 1 league, 1 deadpan a year. And then they've made us wait for so long. So I'm just really, really happy to see it back, like actually announced, because they've been teasing it for, like you said, they've been teasing it for ages. Like more info on league soon, all this, that, and the other. But yeah, super nice to have it back. I mean, I've played all 3 leagues, so I'm always putting way too much time into these things.
Yeah, well, for me, I saw the 2 big updates that they had planned for Summer Summit, and for a single moment, I was like, wait, I'm not very good at counting, but how are you gonna announce like Sailing, Tasagaltras, Varlamore, Leagues, and all of that stuff if you only have like 2 boxes? But somehow they managed to fit like all of the content into the summit, and it's like, I even tweeted this today, and it seemed like the future of Old School RuneScape is safe for at least another 12 months, maybe even more.
Yeah, it's crazy. The game's actually just doing so well with how many people are online every day. And you've got to remember that we're not in COVID times anymore, and we're not all like 21 years old at like college or just with free time. People actually have like jobs and families more so. I mean, maybe not us, right? But like, the average person doesn't have as much time to play, which means it's even more insane that the player numbers are so high. And and like you said, when there was 2 big boxes, I was like, oh, please no, don't hit us with the Jagex special of the announcement of the announcement. Like, we'll be talking about leagues in 3 months' time.
Yeah,
I was pretty happy.
You know, the Hollywood movie style where they do a trailer for the trailer.
I know. They've done that so many times.
Yeah.
Announcement of announcement.
I mean, they did kind of confirm Leagues 4 during Winter Summit 6 months ago, basically saying that, you know, hey, Leagues is coming in 2023, but that's literally all the information we have right now. But now they've given us like details that everybody finally wanted to hear, and the final confirmation was set up. So I want to ask you this question. Are you happy that they are doing a rerun of Trailblazer, or would you rather have seen something completely brand new?
I definitely have mixed feelings on it. I think it is super safe to go back to Trailblazer, but personally, I was a little bit disappointed that they're doing a rerun, just purely because as much as you can say that it's going to be different this time because of X, Y, Z, it's fundamentally is the same. But then on the other side of that, it was incredibly successful. I don't know. It's just so hard. I'm just still on the fence, to be honest. I think it needs to be Trailblazer with quite a few tweaks. if I'm being perfectly genuine about my opinion. But the thing is, everyone's just so hyped to have leagues back, right? And that's their most cherished memories were of Trailblazer. So
yeah, we did have almost 300,000 registered accounts during Trailblazer, which is 300,000 for old school RuneScape is an insane number.
I know. But the things of Trailblazer as well. So there was Twisted League was Zaya only, then Trailblazer was unlocking the map gradually. So that Trailblazer one was the first time where they did like a big league with lesser restrictions, because I don't know if you play Twisted League, but that one was quite brutal in terms of
I got a
there
dragon
wasn't
trophy.
actually that much variety. All right, don't flex it on me.
I am flexing really hard, man.
Bro,
I'm all about those trophies.
The amount of comments I see where it's like Solomission, he's always
Don't worry.
He's never got a dragon trophy.
Oh, don't worry, man. We're gonna get into that real hard today. Don't you worry about that. Nobody's gonna forget about that.
Oh my God.
Okay, so for the viewers that don't know, Jagex is running the Trailblazer League again, but like this time they're like improving everything that I guess didn't work last time, and they're adding like new methods in as well, like new tasks, new relics. Last time we didn't have Seiya, and that's available to players now. I even heard that, you know, the famous last recall item is making a comeback, and yeah, it seems like they're taking everything that didn't work and they're dumping that, and they're keeping everything that did work.
Yeah. I think my main problem is that it's keeping the exact same structure of you start in Karamja and Misthalin. So your journey isn't particularly different there. And then it's probably subject to change, right? But from the blog, you can only choose 3 additional areas as you could in the previous Trailblazer.
So when you go look at the league's news post that Jagex announced, they did show a picture where we could start in Seiya. Like that could be a possibility as well. I'm not like, I can't confirm anything yet, but there is a picture with the boast, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, there's a picture in the middle of Seiya Castle, and basically the same start as Twisted Leagues, and this could be a start. I don't know yet. I'm just guessing here.
Oh, okay. Oh no, I see it now. There's the picture of it there. That's the what they call them, waystones or something, don't they?
Yeah, something like that.
The regions.
I'm just calling the boasts. I don't know what else to say.
the post.
Yeah.
What do you think about starting in a different region? Say if you could either choose your region to start with.
I saw a Reddit post where they were talking about this leagues, and one thing was that maybe we should just make all the free-to-play areas as one zone. You know, that was one of the big problems before, where I think they released Karamja, right? Karamja was available to everyone, right? But Ascarnia, Missolin, Lumbridge, the Fossil Islands.
You'd have loads. You'd have the entire, like, most of the wilderness and...
Yeah. So maybe like the starting region should be bigger. That's my main takeaway. But the other one was maybe unlocking 4 regions instead of 3, because we have Seiya added in as well. So maybe that's another option, because like, think about it, there's just so much new content in the game that I want to explore. Like, I want to go to the wilderness and get a Void Waker. I want to go to the desert and do raids and DT2 and all of that stuff. It feels like 3 regions just isn't enough to explore the game fully. So maybe there's like workarounds around that.
Yeah, well, what I want from it, like my personal propaganda to keep pushing, is I do like the core concept of Trailblazer, where you're gradually unlocking the map. And I know a lot of people think that it's the whole point is restricting it to 3 regions, but there's like 9 to choose from. You're cutting your journey quite short when you finish all the... Most people quit when they finish all the relics and finish all the regions, and then they just quit. Or they do a few fun tasks, a few little fun bits of PVM, and then they're done with it, and the server kind of dies off. I would love it if that you could continually unlock. Maybe it doesn't have to be all the regions. That is completely impossible and out of reach. Say if you are rank 1, if you're rank 1, you'd maybe unlock 7 out of 9 of the regions. So there's always that interesting, different type of journey you're taking, because you are restricted somewhat. And the average person, say the average Dragon Trophy guy would maybe get 6 regions. Someone that would normally quit early, but then finish in the top 20% would get 5, and then someone in the top 40% would get 4, and then in the bottom 40% would get the classic 3. I think that would just provide so much of a better structure of having something to look forward to once you get to that, oh, I've completed all my relics and all my regions in my 80 hours of gameplay. I mean, this is maybe I'm delusional because I just play so much.
So one issue I see with that is that I think they were talking about that this time league seems to be 4 weeks long as compared to average like 8 weeks or even 10 weeks we had in the previous versions. So it seems like having all of those areas locked is not enough for 4-week leagues, if that makes sense. So like I don't think you can just like fully take advantage of all 9 regions in 4-week periods. So
no,
like,
yeah, that's what I mean. If you run out of time and you're on 5 regions, then that's like,
yeah, exactly.
That's good because then you still have the fun of that restriction.
Like the 9 region thing could work perfectly if we had like a 10-week league, because like what I see from myself is that there is this period where I just get burnt out no matter what. And having more regions to explore could be like a way to solve that issue. But the other version is that why don't we just make it shorter? Why don't we we don't have to do this for 2 months, you know? Why don't we just do it for 4 weeks and call it a day?
Years. It's been 2 years. Give me 2 months.
But yeah,
no, I do get what you mean.
Yeah.
I just think I think my problem is with it. I think some people have rose-tinted glasses about Trailblazer. So I think maybe I'm slightly unusual in terms of I actually did play Shattered Relics for the entire way through, but I didn't play Trailblazer for the entire way through because when you only have those 3 regions, you run out of tasks so much quicker because you've done all the fun stuff, and then all of a sudden you're on to killing 1,000 of each Dagonoth king.
Yes.
And at that point, a player like me is like, well, I don't want to do this. I'll go and start pet hunting or something strange like that. Instead, just like make my own fun. And that's the reason I never get Dragon Trophy.
I love your excuses. Nobody's gonna believe it, by the way. Just letting you know. Only you are gonna believe that. Okay. So, but yeah, like I agree that 3 regions is not enough, because if you think about it, there's been like so many new updates added into the game that like it's so much harder to choose between those 3 regions. Like previously, like okay, let's take Desert for example. In Trailblazer, Desert was hopeless. Like if you pick Desert, you kind of miss the point of leagues already, like at the start. But this time I feel like Desert is literally mandatory pick, because you get raids, temporas, Giants Foundry, Desert Residue, and so much more. There's even like other updates like Maspa, Wilderness Bosses reworks. Next was added, I think, at the right at the start of Leagues 3, and players didn't get to take full advantage of that. So there's just so much to choose in terms of regions, and basically going over the same point again, 3 isn't enough for me.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Karen being unlocked as well. You know how back in leagues, in Trailblazer, the basic bitch package was Kandarin, Asgardia, and Mauritania. This time, the basic bitch is gonna be Desert, Karen, and then Kandarin or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to take Asgardia if you want to do card wars. So there's that. That's what I'm selling. Is like I want to do everything. I mean, I want to go to Fremennik. I want to go to Fremennik. Maybe I want to try out. I don't even know what's in Fremennik. I guess Dagonoth Kings. I don't know, man. I just want to do everything, man. Yeah.
It's that thing of you get DT2, but then you can't get to all the bosses because they're all over the game. Just small things like that. And it feels a bit restrictive. So if you had maybe 4 or 5 regions by the end, you just got a little bit more choice. I don't know.
Exactly, because if you think about it, Vartorvis is in Seiya, Duke is in Fremennik, I guess. I don't even know. Like, is it Wilderness? No, it's not Wilderness. It's Fremennik,
yeah, I think it's. But they have that weird thing with like Fremennik and Asgardia, where they put God Wars in Asgardia, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a large slice of the land. I think they'll probably put it in Fremennik. I don't know.
Yeah. And like,
it's hard to tell, isn't it?
I guess Whisperer is Asgardia and Leviathan is Mistalin. Or I don't even know. Lumbridge? I don't even know what Mistalin. It's weird. It's like all over the place. Yeah. Okay, so since you already mentioned this before, these aren't my words. Let me make that clear. It is one of the top comments on the league's Reddit thread currently as we speak. But the quote went like this. I can't wait for all the I just got rank 1 videos to come out and then for them to not even finish in Dragon tier by the end. Parenthesis, solo mission. So, the question I have for you, and I want you to be very, very careful when you answer this, okay? Because there is a lot on the line here. So here it goes. Are you going to get the Dragon Trophy in Leagues 4?
It depends how long it is. It depends how much there is to do that's still interesting. The reason, like I said before, the reason I don't get Dragon Trophy, to be fair, last time I easily could have got it, but I just didn't for the memes. That's genuinely true. I was like 5 hours away from getting it, and I was like, I'm not gonna do it because it'll be funny. Because I think I was chasing like XP rank 3 or something stupid like that.
And then,
yeah,
and then that meme turned into a meme itself. So it was like memeception, where people, you thought it was funny, but people started making fun of you. You know, it was like
good.
double
That's great. It's free exposure right there. How people talking about
the funny thing is, okay, let me give you another example. Whenever I hear discussion of like PKing on Reddit or Twitter or Discord, the first thing people always start to roast is Framed. I don't know why. I guess it's just because of the content he produces. It seems to be like the punching bag of PKing community for some odd reason. The dude just like can't catch a break. And it does seem like, I wouldn't say you're like the face of leagues, but whenever the topic of leagues does come up, your name is always somewhere in the mix. You are like the rank one guy everybody knows, and that comes with the bad and the good, I guess. So when during leagues you got, I guess it was rank 4 in the end by total experience, and if I remember correctly, you had, I don't know, it was like over 3 billion experience, and it still wasn't enough. I couldn't stop laughing at the moment. So I guess you like kind of nailed it at the end anyways. So yeah. I know it's mean to laugh at that.
No, I love it, and I fully embrace it. Like it doesn't affect me at all. And I know it's like, some people will cringe and think it's stupid that I am rank 1, all this sort of stuff. But I don't know, it's just for the culture at this point. I feel like some people just like it. They're like, that's all that's good in the world is this guy just clickbaiting his rank for like logging in and logging out for like 10 seconds.
I just love it. I you went like full goblin. I even watched the video today, by the way, your Leagues 3 final video. I saw you like you went like full goblin mode in the video, and it still wasn't enough. So I guess like
that ending was crazy, because the guy that I was trying to chase, I expected him to go to sleep, and I swear he just didn't go to sleep like for one time randomly, and I was like, well, I just lost.
You already mentioned it a little bit, but what were your like own thoughts during those final hours in Leagues 3? And like, we might as well talk about it. What were your like overall feedback you had with the Shattered Relics and like the fragment system and everything else we had in place?
Controversially, I actually enjoyed Shattered Relics the most out of all 3 leagues. I know not a lot of people actually think that, but I think one of the reasons is because I could access the whole game, and there was so much more to do than in Trailblazer. I also like the fact that you got to experience so many more relics because they were interchangeable. I thought that was very fun. And yeah, you got to experience so much more because you could access so much more of an area. You could get so many more relics. I don't know. I think going back to Trailblazer, it might just feel a bit like, oh, is this it? I unlock my one-tick blowpipe and I just blowpipe absolutely everything. Whereas in that one, there was so much variety in terms of, oh, I've got to get my 4 Bandos items or my Zami items for using those specific God relics, and I can change things out for skilling. And there was so much more depth to Shattered Relics, which made it more enjoyable for me. But I would say that I think they were trying to do too many things at once, but the restriction was lacking also because they just gave everyone that massive point stimulus, and then it was like, well, nothing really matters anymore in terms of like the restrictions of the skills or the content, etc.
As far as I've seen like player feedback overall, it does seem like Leagues 2 was the best. I guess that's why they're remaking it. And then Leagues 1 was the second best, but I think that's just because of like nostalgia and being the first one. And Leagues 3 was the worst overall. But it does like seem that every league we had so far does have like major flaws in them. And at first it sounded like good ideas, but since there was almost no play testing done, which by the way I can't confirm, but I guess we can like deduct.
I don't know. I didn't go and play test it. So
yeah. No, it just seems like a lot of people said, for instance, when we logged in on day 1 Leagues 3, there were so many obvious things that were wrong, and people were only playing for 12 hours. So people started asking questions like, wait, has this been play tested at all? Because like all you had to do was log in for a single day and you would already find these mistakes. Yeah, there were some issues. Anyways, my main point is that it feels like every time League starts, for week 1, there is this big hype. And then when week 2 starts, I don't know, this like kind of hype dies down and there is this steep decline. And then we get to like week 7 where only players who are hunting dragon trophies are still playing. And this time, I guess Jagex is trying to fix that with static point thresholds instead of like percentage of players. So let's say like, I don't know, this is hypothetical, 50,000 points is what's needed to get the dragon trophy. So my question is, do you agree with this system where essentially nowadays every player in Leagues 4 can now get the dragon trophy, or would you rather prefer like the top 1% of players we had previously?
I don't have much of an opinion about it, because obviously I don't care that much about getting the trophies themselves as a 3-time rune cope guy saying that. But it's good and bad, right? I know a lot of people didn't like that system, but at the same time, there was just something so funny in the community of people just saying things like, oh, I can't wait to equip all these items on my alts and just get tons of points and raise the boundary. And it's the constant checking it up of it and all that sort of thing. Is like, I can see how that is definitely stressful for people to keep up with. The problem comes in the balancing though, because it's so difficult to anticipate, and unless they literally play through it for 70 hours.
Yeah.
Like have someone good play through it for 70 hours and see what we're sort of looking at. Because I remember last time they said this league, it will take twice as long to unlock all the relics, but it was done in pretty much the same time as Trailblazer, because there was so much more available. And it's so hard to see how the meta will shift and adapt when there's only 10 people working on it compared to 300,000 people playing it. It's really difficult to predict.
I even remember on like day 5 or day 6, people were already on the last relic. You know, I think you needed like 15,000 points to unlock the last one, and it was pretty quickly achieved by like majority of people.
Yeah, I think I got it on my 4th video, so 4 days in.
Yeah,
which was the same as Trailblazer, and that was crazy to me. So the thing is with the point thresholds, are they going to put Dragon too low or too high? And then there's going to be so much debate around that, because you won't really find out what's a good point threshold until the league finishes and everyone's sort of there. The 1% thing. Do you think they're going to be shooting for 1% of League's players to get Dragon Trophy? Is that the aim here, or do they not care if 10% get it? The thing is,
the big problem I see is that since they're having all of these new tasks, they physically, I don't know, like, do you have to calculate through those tasks to see what the average could be, and then like deduct 1% of that? I don't even know how would you do that, because like, I understand you can take a look at previous leagues, but those had completely different restrictions, completely different tasks, probably different relics. So it's all gonna affect the overall outcome, right? So yeah, I think like what you said kind of makes sense, is that it's just someone has to play through it and see like where we end up with, because you could have I mean, like I said, literally every player can get Dragon Trophy now if they wanted to. I mean, obviously it's not going to happen, but I assume that it's definitely going to be bigger than top 1%, just because people know the threshold now. They don't like have to look out for every day, like what's the count, where do I land, how much more do I need to do, you know? They just know, okay, I'm going to get 50,000 points. That's it, call it quits. That's that. And I assume that more than 1% of players are going to do that.
Yeah, I feel like there's something definitely where mentally it's so much easier to grind for something that's concrete and you know what's going to happen. It's like the same. So when you go for your Ava's Assembler at Vorkath, because it's guaranteed at 50 KC, it doesn't feel bad at all. But when you're just grinding into the abyss for the unknown, it is a lot more difficult. I just thought of this right now. What if they don't tell you the points thresholds at the start and they wait until 2 weeks in, like halfway through, and then they decide what they're going to be based off how people have done so far?
Yeah, that seems like a solid answer, honestly, because it's like it's kind of like drop rates on new bosses, right? They wait, they see what people do, how many drops enter the game, then adjust accordingly. By the way, shout out to all my 2 out of 3 ring pieces. We're gonna get it next drop.
I know. Oh god. I like that's the thing, isn't it? There are good things and bad things about every system.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. That's another thing I think that having infinite area unlocks, even if you can't get all the areas, would be good for. Is you have that framework of things that you're always working towards something concrete, and then you're not just going for the sake of it anymore. I think that would get people playing longer more than any other thing would. I actually don't think that many people care about the trophies, like when you look at the whole collective.
I mean, technically it is the rarest item in the game.
You got Dragon Trophy, but
Jagex said, I think I want to say this was almost like a decade ago in 2014 or something. We're not gonna do discontinued items. And then Twisted League came around, and Twisted League Dragon Trophy is probably one of the rarest items in the game, I have to say.
I think so. What, there's about 1,000 of them?
Yeah, about 1,000 people have those. Me being one of them, no flex. But yeah, okay, so yeah, basically I want to emphasize the point where hopefully Jagex just takes the best of all three versions of the leagues we have. Like, for instance, despite Leagues 3 being like considered the weakest overall by players, they had this amazing system, in my opinion. I'm not saying everybody agrees with here, but you can spend points you earned yourself to complete quests. And despite it not being like, it wasn't very balanced in my opinion, but the idea is really good because objectively, I don't think many people want to complete Waterfall quest again for the 100th time or something like that. So like maybe they take quests and diary unlocks from Leagues 3, they take let's see, like regions from Leagues 2, and Seiya and everything that comes from Leagues 1, and you make like a I don't know, like a fucking leftover stew with it, which is like gonna be now Leagues 4.
Yeah, I think the strongest thing about Trailblazer was unlocking the map gradually in regions, and I think that's the only thing we should take from it, really. In terms of quests, I think they should just. I mean, it kind of was like this in Trailblazer, right? When you unlock a region, you do get a dump of quests that do get completed.
Yes.
So they could extend that list out, right?
The difference was that you can spend those points that you earned, and basically you didn't have to do any of the quests, which I feel like, of course, like I said, the balance was off. Like at the end, you had so many points to spend and nothing to spend them on, which I feel like, again, it comes down to playtesting. But I like the idea because genuinely, I've done Quest Point Cape now, I want to say like 5 times in my life. I don't want to do it again, man. I don't want to do quests anymore. Yeah. It's just, especially in like a temporary game mode, right? You want to try out cool stuff like the relics. You want to try out bosses that you've never done before. You want to try out new things. I don't want to spend half of my time doing quests. So that's like my takeaway.
That's what I'm saying though. When you unlock a region, I know they gave you some quests before. What if they just give you a gigantic chunk of them now instead?
So and that's what we're gonna get in Deadman, which we're gonna get into later on. But but they did it with Deadman is I think every time it's with combat brackets instead of regions, but the idea is the same.
Okay, do you think you should be locked into your relic choices? So that was the case in Trailblazer. In Shattered Relics, you could mix and match and change relics. I think people think that they love the Trailblazer system, but they'll really miss it once they're playing Leagues 4.
The fragments was one of the best ideas they've ever done.
You can't change them in and out. Yeah, I didn't like the way that you had to like level them and.
Oh yeah, that was another thing.
Yeah, I guess getting them as drops, like it's just RNG when you get certain ones.
I can't
remember if I like that or not.
I do like the idea of bringing in again, I guess like it's all the same sigils from Deadman mode, fragments from Shattered Relics, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, the idea is still the same, that when I'm doing skilling, I want to do skilling relics. When I'm doing combat, I want to do combat relics. When I'm doing utility, like one of the sigils in Deadman mode is having your trolls do triple damage. And like, I want to swap those out, whatever I'm doing. I don't want to be stuck with trolls forever, you know what I mean? That having...
Yeah, I think we definitely shouldn't overlook the fact that mixing and matching just means that there's so much more to do. Because essentially in Trailblazer, you got locked into one attack style. So you in your third relic choice, you chose mage, range, or melee, and that doubled your attack speed. And then at that point, there's no point using any of the other attack styles, so it really limited your gameplay in terms of you would just go, if you unlocked, say, the range relic, you're just really going for range gear because you never use anything else other than range.
Right. The relics in Trailblazer was so off. I mean, you remember the fairy flight that nobody picked?
Yeah. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing as well. So people who didn't pick last recall basically quit in that one.
That was another thing because everybody had FOMO. You know, they didn't want to miss out on like certain relics because they didn't make the right choice. That was the biggest problem.
You don't have that issue if you go with the Shattered Relics relic system.
Okay, so before we end with Leagues talk and jump into another, I guess, very exciting topic, which is Deadman mode, I want to give you this opportunity to design your very own leagues in less than 2 minutes. So if you had the opportunity to work at Jagex and they asked you, hey, Solomission, the Rune Trophy guy, We want you to decide Leagues
Great
5.
job, bro.
What would be the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear that? Leagues 5 by Solomission.
I actually think that the Trailblazer unlocking the map system is good, but selfishly, the main thing which would keep leagues interesting for longer and encourage me to go for the Dragon Trophy is absolutely more interesting tasks. Because that was my biggest letdown with Leagues 3. They copy and pasted the whole block of tasks over, and even simple ones just to give more of an end game to leagues, like more speedrun times, like laddering down. I think there's like one. It's like completely Inferno in 60 minutes or whatever it is in leagues.
Yeah.
But I wish that just laddered down like in 5-minute increments going down. It would be so easy to implement them all as master tasks. Like in the chambers, like going down to impossible. So people have always got things to strive for, and have that be the end game alongside like gear hunting, because the end game of leagues is super boring in my opinion. You're killing ancient wyverns for a 1 in 10k drop or whatever it is.
You mean you don't want to do 500 agility laps?
Exactly. Like, who wants to run around the monkey course 10k times when you could like be trying to get faster at a boss, or just some more creative tasks? Because ultimately, the league gameplay experience is doing the tasks. That's for the most part, and also in addition to that, like I said before, extending on a framework that you're working towards a concrete goal for longer. So the relic slots should take longer. There should be more, and it's like it should take 2 weeks for the sweatiest of sweats to finish all the relic slots. And we should just be okay. We should just be okay with the fact that most people aren't going to be able to fill up everything. And in fact, everyone's not going to be able to get all of the regions, but there's always that concrete thing to work towards. So if you don't care about the dragon rank or the green rank or whatever, then you still have something concrete to go for, rather than, oh, I'll do the fun tasks. Actually, the fun tasks kind of run out quite quickly, and then you're down to killing 10,000 krakens or whatever, and it's like, well, now I don't care and I quit. So keeping it interesting for longer, but that's super selfish for me. But I think that would maybe trickle down to keeping more people engaged throughout the whole process.
That's where the steep decline comes after 2 weeks with every league, you know, is that you have those 2 weeks of fun, you get to try out those relics, you get to try out those fragments, whatever you want to do, and then the long grind starts with your 500 laps, 1000 KC at bosses, all of that stuff. And well, for the most people, they're thinking, wait, all of this progress is going to be gone in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. I don't want to like do all of this when it's all gonna be gone, you know. So like it has to be worth your time, basically.
Yeah, it's just keeping what you're actually doing more interesting.
So that's
even at a newbie level, right? Like having some very achievable speedrun times for early bosses, because then when you're on your third relic, you're like, oh, I reckon I could kill this in 2 minutes. Like, let's just go for it. And then there's just more diverse tasks. It doesn't have to be speedruns, but it can be like combat achievement type things of like, do it in this restriction or...
And then you realize, I can't do it on third relic, but I can do it on fifth, and you keep going.
Yeah, something like that, which is,
okay, so
is giving you decisions to make.
So that was Leagues 5 idea by Solomission. You heard it right here. And the reason why I ask you this is because I actually want to answer it myself. That was the only reason.
Yeah, I didn't really give an answer there. I
mean, basically,
because the core of Leagues, like the core theming of Trailblazer is locking areas. The core theming of Twisted League is locking area. The core theme of Shattered Relics Leagues was locking content and locking skills. So you follow on, and then if you're thinking of a new concept, what are you locking this time? An area just seems to be the nicest one to do every time I think about it. So Trailblazer does kind of make sense as a theming.
Okay, Leagues 5 Trailblazer, you heard it right here. First time.
No. Yeah, no,
we're just gonna keep doing Trailblazer over and over again.
So contradictory right now. What about Chunkman? What about a Chunkman League?
Chunkman League. Extreme one chunk league.
No, not extreme one chunk. But
you have to kill 400,000 hill giants to move to another chunk.
Let's say if like chunks were like super cheap or something.
Yeah.
But when you start the game, all of a sudden it's like, well, which way am I going to go here? And then everyone does have a very distinctive different route. But I think that would be too hard to do, really.
I don't know if you remember this,
version.
But I don't know if it was Winter Summit or before that. But Jagex did have like surveys and ideas about different game modes that are RuneLite plugins. And one of those ideas was Tileman, by the way. I don't know if you remember that. It was like for a very brief time, and it was put down pretty much immediately because players didn't like it. But they did have like surveys and stuff like that about game modes. I think that was in January, and they were doing like an overall survey on game modes, like do you want to see like a Tileman game mode or stuff like that. And I think that's where the idea of Trailblazer rerun came as well, because all of those surveys and stuff showed that people just wanted what was already good, I guess.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I get it, and they know what they're doing at JH. They're like they are on the ball over there. I've just had an idea, thinking back to something that I was talking about like 3 years ago. Of you actually start the league in on a brand new island, and the world's become infected with some deadly virus, or I mean apocalypse type thing from Deadman, or whatever it is, and you're using this island as a base to then go and raid the main world, and you have limited time in the main world to get things done, and then come back to the base and then use the things that you got at the base in some capacity. That's super bare bones.
Kinda like
that would be a different experience.
Kinda like in Vardorvis puzzle, where you get infected during the Desert Residue questline. That's also where like you have a bar on top of your like screen, and every time you do get hit or every time you do something, the infection spreads and grows. And once you get 100%, you have to start over, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that might be a little bit frustrating. And that's the thing. I don't know if that would be fun to do for 2 months, because if there's always some sort of pressure to get back to the base, you're treating the entire game like a raid with time pressure, and it's just not very chill. And I don't think that actually is a good idea for the average player, because a lot of people just want to chill. So maybe it would be fun in solo mission land, but I don't know if it would be in.
Essentially, you would make old school RuneScape survival game.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like turning the map into a raid in a way, and then or Trailblazer Reloaded or whatever it's called. Just have that, and then the starting area is a new island. But there's no way they're gonna put that much dev time into it, so that's just a pipe dream.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is a temporary game mode, so there's that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to tell you my idea. Okay, it's not my idea, but I've been talking about this in my community for a lot, and nobody wants to hear this. But I'm gonna keep pushing this because it's the best idea in the world. Okay, so there was this amazing idea that, again, I don't think we're ever gonna see this, but everything is randomized, which means, let's say you're picking like a farming patch, and instead of getting snapdragons, you now get dragon daggers. In Varrock General Store, it sells now Twisted Bows. The guards in Falador can now drop Abyssal Whips. And like things like, let's say, completing a waterfall quest now gives you 100,000 farming experience. Basically, you can go like infinite with this, because like we're talking about thousands of items, thousands of shops, NPCs, interactions, and all of them are randomized.
I've heard this a little bit before. Oh, I hate to say it, but I hate the idea.
Okay, so
because my main reason is because the way that RuneScape is designed, the funnest, most engaging content gives the best rewards, and I don't want to. Ultimately, everyone wants to go for the best items, right? And if the best way to get the best items is from killing goblins, that's just way less fun than doing Tombs of Mascot, for example. I want to spend my time doing raids and PVM and like harder stuff.
The thing is, I'm gonna be on the same boat as you. This is very selfish, because all of this sounds like basically a content creator's wet dream. But like, I also realize like balancing something like this it's an absolute nightmare. It's almost impossible. So it's very hard to make something like this competitive. And also,
I think what would work with that idea is if you changed it so the XP of things was different that you got around the game. So if you change the way you build your account in terms of, oh, maybe this pickpocket gives you like nothing much anymore, and then it's about discovering how to train your stats and stuff using this new age rebalanced XP rates all over the place, if that's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I think like one thing that comes immediately to my mind is how it would define the old school RuneScape meta, and how it would completely make the game brand new, like it's never been seen before. Like imagine like you share information and be like, oh, when you go to Caterpie and pick flags, now you get sharks instead, so that's a good source of food, you know. When you go to, I don't know, go complete Sheepshearer quest, you get like a dragon dagger. That's a good way to start your PVM adventure. Like that's the idea, is that like nobody has ever experienced this before, which means old school RuneScape for the first time, or RuneScape in general for the first time, would be like brand new, that you can't solve the game. That's my point. Because it's impossible, because it's all randomized. And since old school RuneScape, I would say in general has been kind of solved, but not really, but kinda, you know, like everybody knows the best methods of doing everything now, and this will kind of twist that around.
I like it if it's not total randomness, if there's just a high level of randomness. So because like I said, I just want to do the most engaging, interesting content to get good rewards. I don't want to spend my time killing goblins necessarily.
Yeah.
But like you said, quest rewards give you a cool item that's going to help you on your journey now, and the XP is all muddled up and mashed up and completely different. I think that could definitely add something, yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just an idea, and unfortunately, the Jagex moderator who came up with this idea now actually left the company. So it is safe to say that this will never see the light of day, but, you know, one man can dream. I'm just gonna keep spreading the message.
I think it definitely has legs as an idea. I think it definitely does.
Any last thoughts you want to give on leagues and like what to expect?
I don't know. Give us the release date as soon as possible. I want to start planning.
It is winter, right? So it's either
that's like 3 months of time span.
I guess, yeah, it's like December. I mean,
impatient.
winter 2023. It's December probably, most likely.
Yeah, I would think so. Something like that.
I mean, it's gonna be really exciting. I can't wait for this. I do have a lot of hope for Jagex team, like Jagex moderators, that they're gonna pick everything what's good. They're gonna leave out everything that wasn't good. I think the 4-week period, which isn't confirmed yet, but I think they are gonna do this because I don't know if you know this, but in April 2023, Mod Husky made a news post about leagues. It was in Killer Cassette, but he made like an entirely different thing that stated everything about leagues, what makes leagues good, what we missed, everything and that. One of the things they pointed out was that 8 weeks is just too long. And I think if they make it like 4 weeks, the idea was that for the competitive period, it's 4 weeks. But after that, you can still play leagues and test out new stuff if you want to.
Yeah. I think 8 weeks is only too long because you run out of the concrete goals, though. I'm fully of that opinion. And I think having those static trophy brackets as well would really help it. Maybe I just want to play leagues more. 4 weeks seems short to me.
I agree. Personally, I agree. But as someone who has played all 3 leagues and went for all the Dragon trophies, there was always a period during like week 5, week 6 where I just like, I kind of got burnt out, but I felt like I had to keep going because otherwise I was going to lose my Dragon trophy, which I really wanted to.
I mean, in Shattered Relics, it was 6 weeks and then they extended it because lots of people wanted them to extend it. I don't really understand the logic in going against that and making it shorter.
The time it matters as well, right? Is it in December when everyone's on vacation anyway? You know, you have the holidays. Is it in January when everyone's working? Is it in November where like that's where the Twisted League happened? I can't remember exactly. So yeah, I think the time depends on it, like when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.